You don't have to share. It would be nice if everyone could hear, but if you don't want to share, you don't have to. So Joe, we'll leave you alone. We'll go to the next row. There's 4 people, so one of you could share one good, one lousy moment.
I failed my test like last week.
Okay.
It was really bad.
Is that a good or is that a lousy?
What? Would that ever be good?
I'm just trying to get your feel for it.
No, that was lousy.
Okay.
Let's think of a good thing. I got ice cream this weekend. That was good.
That was good. Why was that good?
Ice cream makes me feel nice.
Okay.
It's really good.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. The next row. Would you like to share?
When my older sister got into college.
Very cool. Congratulations.
And I don't have a lousy.
You don't have a lousy. Okay. Thank you.
Actually, when I got my braces on.
2 good things in 1 week. That's really great. And for you, miss?
My good was Mother's Day, the past month.
Okay.
Had a nice day, tried not to, and the lousy was I was feeling stressed one night trying to get out of the house and I was yelling at my kids a lot and I left feeling lousy.
Oh, no. Is everything kind of evened out now?
Yeah.
It always seems to even out eventually. Excellent. And then from this row.
Oh, me. Okay, so good. I did well on a presentation that I was nervous about.
Great.
And lousy. I snapped at my daughter, and I wasn't really happy about that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing. And
For good, my brother and his wife had a baby last month.
congratulations.
Thank you. For lousy, my mom had a stroke last year.
Oh, man. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you.
Solo.
I would agree, a couple of rows behind. My good was Mother's Day because my kids made me cards and pictures and put together photos, so that was really nice, and I enjoyed that. And lousy, I have co-workers walking into my account, so I work in sales, and when I hear about that, it really is a lousy week for me. Either that or I must yell a lot, and I didn't list that first at home.
Okay.
There's a couple of those too.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And yes.
So a good is when I babysit these 2 kids that I absolutely adore, and like when I come over, they say it's Carly Day, and so babysitting them is great. Also, they tell me they love me, so
Always helps.
yeah. And then a bad thing is I'm so stressed about school that I haven't slept well.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Regents, finals, college essays.
Okay. Yeah, that could be
Yeah.
a pretty heavy load.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing those. I really encourage sort of reflecting back at your life, and that's what this exercise was. Naturally, I don't know your schedules, and I just kind of wanted you thinking about yourself in a different way, because I think it's nice to go back and actually evaluate where you are situated in life. So when you use those negative words like I suck, I fail at life, I will never, why are you saying those things? And with doing exercises like this, it sort of helps for you to stay on track and understand what exactly you have gone through, because sometimes it's easy to focus on the lousy, but there's also good that happens in the day. And so by not just focusing on the lousy, but by expanding it and looking at something that you thought was lousy and thinking, well, you know what, that actually, in retrospect, wasn't too lousy. Why am I still caught up?
It's
Yes.
like we often like choose to think of it like cup half empty.
Yes, you could. Absolutely, yeah. Look at half empty, half full. So that's something that you could do on your own while you're at home, at school, feeling stressed out, feeling overwhelmed, to sort of add control back to your life. And so I'd like to tell you how I became able to stand up here and speak with you. I'm just going to take my jacket off real quick.
Getting serious.
Getting very serious and a little steamy. So, as you can see, that's a picture of my mom and I. That's a picture of my mom and my dad. And
Who's
both,
on top?
that's my mom at the top.
And you.
And myself, yes. So, they are not here anymore. They both passed away. My father will be gone for 10 years this August, and my mom just passed her 3-year anniversary of her passing. And so this story is something that I really struggled with, because this was something that was a turning point in my life and helped me become who I am today. And it's titled 9 Days. So it was a few weeks after Christmas, and my mom and I were getting breakfast. She was unable to walk, and I called her out because I thought she was getting old because she was limping. And it turned out that she wasn't able to walk because she had a grapefruit-sized tumor on her motor skills line in her brain that was forcing her to being unable to move. She was stopped being able to talk. Her face started to
She just found it at that point?
She had just found it. It came on. She had colon cancer, and then it spread to her brain after we thought everything had been cured and she went through
She was
chemo.
cured with colon cancer?
We thought so, yes, but it was not. It was just dormant and it spread. So it went to her brain rather quickly without us knowing. So the day we get the diagnosis, she goes in for emergency surgery. It is then at the same time that my grandma, my dad's mom, goes into the hospital for back pains. And it's the same day as my mom's surgery that we find out that my grandma has tumors all over her back. So she's now staying at the hospital. I guess one good thing was they were both in the same hospital, so I was able to see my mom and my grandma at the same time. And so my mom had her surgery, and everything went so well. It was a very small percentage that she would come out perfectly fine, and they went in, removed the tumor. She was out of the hospital in a record time, I think 4 days, and we were so relieved that the tumor was out, she was in a better place, and my grandma was where she needed to be. And so it was at this point, on the 5th day, I got a phone call about 8 in the morning from my brother, and I could tell by the tone of his voice on the phone that something had happened at home, and I needed to get to the hospital, as he told me. So my mind is racing with something happened to my mom, something happened to my grandma. I have to get there as quick as I can. As I get to the hospital, I park, I get in. My mom's sitting there, her head still wrapped up. So instantly a weight lifted off my shoulders because I thought, here's my mom, safe. Something happened to my grandma, we'll figure it out. We go upstairs, my grandma is where she is, where we left her, just in the bed, resting. So now I think, what are we doing here? My grandfather, my grandma's husband, had died of a heart attack at home earlier in the morning. He had called his daughter to say he was lonely and sad, and by the time the ambulance got there, he was already dead in his bedroom. So it was after this point that everything was really starting to become overwhelming. Had just passed, my dad had just been gone for about 3 years. I was starting to come over that, and my mother was sick. My grandfather just passed, and my grandma was stuck in the hospital. And I had this moment on a Sunday, on the 9th day, that I was going to end my life because I thought, how much more can I take of life? It just keeps throwing things at me, and I can't seem to stand up, and I'm tired of not being able to stand and move on and feeling like I'm damaged and broken and worthless. And I couldn't get that out of my bones that that's how I was and that's who I was. So my plan was to kill myself. And it was there, right before I decided to follow through, that I realized I was actually on the tail end of everything looking positive. My grandma was still in the best place she needed to be. My mom, nothing had changed. She was recovering from her brain tumor, and everything was going well with her recovery. My grandfather had already passed, so there was nothing I could change about that. And my father was already gone, and so nothing I could change about that. So it took a few minutes for me to really look at where my life was going and what I had been through, and think, how could I throw away what I've been through for what's coming up? Because for all I know, something beautiful is coming up. So it went from where I lived my life thinking, how should I live, to how could I live? Because prior to that moment, I was putting myself inside this grief box of being a person who lost his father and his grandpa, and his mom was sick and she was going through chemo and treatment. And I realized that I was so much stronger for my experience. And that was my story of the 9 days and what's gotten me to be able to come here today. And as I said, how should I live or how could I live? was a life-changing statement for me because that's when I realized words do have power. As you can see here, I have, how should I live? And don't should on yourself. Goodbye.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Define should. It's live in someone else's narrative of what you should be doing and how you should be. And I was so tired of living in that life. So I went to could, and I started asking myself, how could I live? And I defined could, a narrative you create yourself where you could do whatever you dream. And some of the differences are the shoulds. You're living in a black and white world. You're expressing what is recommended, and the advice is yours to take. And when you live in the could world, you're living in the gray world. Thank you guys for sitting in.
Well, we're here.
You express what is possible, and the choice is yours to make. And it's so freeing to be able to know you do have a choice in how your life plays out. And so now we have part 4, all about perspective. And I always seem to do the all about perspective, you know, the treble. It's like something I can't get out of my mind every time I see it. So here we see a guy that says boat, and the other guy says land. I love it. And now who would like to define role, which I have here is why are you?
Bread.
Bread. Very, very accurate, thank you.
Why?
Anyone like to define role?
Position you play within your group of friends and family.
Okay, awesome. Very great. I have it as something you put on that's not necessarily you, like an actor putting on a play. Like you can be an athlete, and a student, or a brother, or a sister, or a son, daughter, tough guy, funny guy, bookworm. It's all the different roles you take on in your daily life. And so for this part, I'd like you to perhaps move closer, because this is a teamwork part, where I'd like you to look at this picture and talk about maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can do 3 groups of 2, or 2 groups of 3. I succeeded at math very well.
What'd you say, Andy? Discuss what?
Oh, sorry, I was waiting for everyone to get in the groups. You're going to look at this and take a minute and discuss what you see there with each other. Someone can say what they see, someone else can say what they see, and just talk about the picture. I mean, this is the Queensboro, this is the 59th Street Bridge, photo taken by me, not bragging or anything. And just take a minute and talk amongst yourself, and say what you see.
I think it's good.
Take another 20 seconds, because we have another one of these
And what's
after.
the thingy? I don't know what's
Oh,
called.
the trunk that one I drive over that too. And I look at the side, the skyline.
Very metal-y.
Construction. Believe it, like the two things I've seen.
All right, I'm going to push on and move to the next slide. Everyone ready for the next slide? We're going to do the exact same here. Just talk about what you see, what you feel. Maybe you've been there. Talk about an experience you had there. Fill in other people what's on your mind.
That's the first thing I know. Everyone happy to see each other.
The one middle.
Oh, yeah, lots of steam. Just the hustle and bustle of the city is what I see. The colors.
Take another 30 seconds and talk this over.
That is funny.
Those two are taken by her.
This is more not as relaxing as the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to, everyone feel like another few seconds, or are we all set? Good? Okay. So I had you talk amongst each other to kind of share your experiences with what you see with someone else, because yes, we're all looking at the same exact picture, but due to life experiences and what we've experienced in the past shapes what we take out of that picture, and we can now share our own experience with someone else. Because I feel like in life you can get caught up with seeing the world as only you see it. So with now opening yourself up to the other people you were speaking with, you can now avoid that tunnel vision, because instead of seeing just what's in front of you, now you've opened yourself up to other people's experiences. So maybe next time you're on the Queensboro, you won't even know that you retained what your neighbor next to you said, and you'll think of their experience and the impact of that. And then maybe when you're at Madison Square Park at Christmas time, you'll think of the other picture and someone's experience with the last picture. So it's all about just exploring others exploring others as well and opening yourself up. Because you have to do more than see the world. You have to feel the world and understand the world around you. You have to flow. And so now we have part 5. I've got the power. I'm taking singing lessons soon. It's on my list of things to do. I got tired of dreaming and wanted to do. Now, as I said before, I've been utilizing notepads and journaling for the good and lousy to sort of gain perspective on my life and where I'm going. But one of the main reasons I really took to my notepads and journaling was because I was able to create to-do lists. And I was able to do realistic goals and ones that I could accomplish. Because imagine this, you want to get outside. Well, to get outside, you have to walk outside. But there's so much space between there and outside. And there's chairs and doors and walls and hallways and spaces that things could be going on, life could be going on at. It could be overwhelming to think about just what's going on outside. So to be able to dream of almost like infinity, you have to just kind of take small parts and break it up. Know how to get outside, like walk from my chair to the door, take a right, go from there to the outside door. You have to understand where you're going to get there. So I have dividing infinity up into convenient, easily digestible portions. And you're also able to organize your mind. So I'd like you to take a minute and just create a to-do list for the next week of things you would like to do.
Would like to do. I was going to say to do. Would like.
And so for me, again, this was something that really helped me to get out of bed when I was feeling worthless and down and I felt lost in life. Because at night, when I couldn't sleep, I would write down what I wanted my next day to be like, because I knew how the last day went and I didn't like the way it made me feel. So this was a way for me to make it feel like I could control life and add value to my life. So I would wake up, look at my notepad and say, I have X, Y, Z. I'll go over, check it off when I'm done, and when I check it or scratch it off, I actually feel much more alive and more control of my life. So take another 30 seconds to write down your to-do list. I'm also not sure how we're doing on time. Do we have much time left?
It's, yeah, we
Okay.
have like a half hour.
Oh, a half hour?
Yeah, I
Okay.
wouldn't go beyond. I don't know how much time, what time do you have for your,
Oh, I'm fine.
close it?
I don't have a time.
Oh,
And so would someone like to share some of their list for each of us to hear? We could do row by row again.
okay.
Okay.
I have to make a dental appointment for my daughter. I'm organizing a 5K for Saturday, so I have a lot of work to do.
This Saturday?
This Saturday, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have to do the laundry, I have to do the food shopping, I have to clean the house. So nothing fun really. on
Nothing
this.
fun. Do you feel more aware and organized now that you made this, or how do you feel after
How do I
writing
feel
this?
now? More stress.
More stressed. Well, at least now you know what you have to do, and you can scratch it off and check it off and know you're one step closer to getting what you have to do by Saturday.
Mhm.
And anyone else would like to share? Yes.
I have to finish packing for my son to go to camp, both of them.
Okay.
I have to get Father's Day presents. I have to clean my fish tanks. And thank you, Teresa, I have to make an eye appointment for my son.
See, this is the beauty of the to-do list, is already connecting others. Anyone else like to share?
Well, you know, I was sitting here struggling because I was thinking, boy, I have 100 things to do. Yeah, my daughter, this with kids. But I was like trying to sit here and think, well, what do I need to do for me to make me happy? And I have nothing yet. So I was, actually, I couldn't come up with a big list. So maybe I misunderstood what you said.
I mean, this is what I say is just words to help
But
guide
you know what I'm
to do
saying,
what
like
you
I was
would
trying
like.
to come up with, well, what does Deb want to do that will make me feel